all tonight. Now, if you don't mind, we're going to get to the news. President Biden announced today that he is running for re-election. Can you imagine if it's Biden versus Trump again? That's like going into a diner and the only things on the menu are 2-day-old egg salad and Donald Trump. I guess I'll take my chances with the egg salad. President Biden announced today that he will run for a second term and said, quote, "Let's finish the job." Yeah, good idea. It would be nice to have a country where a guy could safely retire before he's 86. Following President Biden's re-election announcement today, the Republican National Committee released an ad that asked, quote, "What if the weakest president we've ever had were re-elected?" And personally, I think it's pretty low to drag Martin Van Buren into this. Life's hard enough with that silly haircut. According to reports, Fox News CEO Suzanne Scott did not tell Tucker Carlson why he was being fired, but said that the decision was made, quote, "from above." But come on, we know all the decisions at Fox News come from below. The Georgia prosecutor investigating former President Trump's alleged interference into the 2020 election said yesterday that she would announce potential charges this summer. I like that we're spreading out Trump's crimes and just like micro-dosing indictments. You know, because like when Netflix drops an entire season at once, sure, it's fun that weekend, but then we have nothing to look forward to. Once a week is way better. It's like Trump's the Abbott Elementary of criminals. A man in Idaho recently set a Guinness World Record after he passed a 40-pound weight from hand to hand 100 times. That story, again, not much to do in Idaho. He didn't even know Guinness was there. You know? And they were like, "Hey, how many times have you done that?" A moose. We like it when it starts a moose. A moose recently walked into a movie theater in Alaska and ate popcorn from the trash can, or as Regal Cinemas calls it, a medium. Now, movie theaters, you used to... And finally, a former Disney World employee was recently arrested for allegedly taking videos of women's skirts. To be fair, they should have known something was wrong when he showed up to work with no pants on. That was a monologue, everybody. We are off and running. We've got a fantastic show for you tonight. He is a Tony and Emmy-winning legend, currently on Broadway at Studio 54 in Pictures from Home. Our friend Nathan Lane is here tonight, everybody. She is a California congresswoman and candidate for Senate. Her book, I Swear Politics is Messier Than My Minivan, is out now. Congresswoman Katie Porter is back on the show. And direct from the Sondheim Theater on Broadway, we're going to have a performance from the new hit show And Juliet. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Before we get to that, you guys, spring is in the air, flowers are blooming, birds are chirping, everyone is stocking up on Benadryl, and that includes my writers. You know, my writing staff, they write hundreds of monologue jokes every day just to get the 10 or 12 we end up using, and sometimes I think they throw in a few stinkers just to get their numbers up and meet the assignment. But just because pollen levels are through the roof, that doesn't mean we can tolerate laziness, which means it's time for another surprise inspection. All right, so here's how this works. I'm going to read some real jokes that were really submitted by my writers to me, their boss. These jokes are unusable for the show. Some are dumb, some are offensive, some are just confusing. And most importantly, this is the most important part, my writers don't know we're doing this, and because most of them don't watch the show, they'll never know. So let's get started. Vice President Kamala Harris participated in a roundtable discussion today about reproductive rights in Des Moines, Iowa, because women who think they might want to have a child deserve the right to change Des Moines. That was written by Matt Goldich. There he is. Des Moines. I mean, it obviously doesn't work. Maybe if any, the slang for their minds was ever Des Moines. I'm sure this next one will bounce us right back. Today was ABBA singer Bjorn Ulvaeus' 78th birthday. Wow, it's hard to believe he was Bjorn in 1945. Apologies. If you applaud, you're just going to get more of this. According to a new study, quality of sleep can positively impact quality of life. You're welcome, said Bill Cosby. No applause that time? I liked Bjorn for Born, but I didn't. That was written by Mike Scollins, who's a bad guy. That was a photo that was taken after he shoved a kid and people got mad at him. He was like, hey. A high school principal in Florida recently resigned after she received criticism from parents for showing sculpture Michelangelo's, for showing students, well, I made a mistake here. You know what? So when this joke stinks, it's still not my fault. A high school principal in Florida recently resigned after she received criticism from parents for showing students Michelangelo's sculpture David in direct violation of the state's Don't Say Gray law. So is that because do we think that because a statue's gray? That, I guess, I'm hoping that was written by ChatGPT and not... Show me ChatGPT! Ah, Brian also did Bjorn. Imagine your day's over and the best thing you did was the Bjorn joke. Authorities in France found nearly 2,000 pounds of cocaine this week on a beach in the English Channel. Oops, sorry, that's mine, said a whale. Feels like it got, it was like almost, right when it became almost got to a joke, Karen here was like, I'm good. Like a whale with a neck tattoo, like maybe, right? Whale with a pair of Ray-Bans working on a screenplay, maybe, right? Just a whale, because Karen saw it. She's like, that's a lot of cocaine. It's on a beach. What's something equally big? A whale. And she got to that part, and she was just like, send. Karen, interestingly, our smallest writer, which is why whenever a little bit of cocaine goes missing, A pilot in South Africa recently had to make an emergency landing after he spotted a venomous snake under his seat. Even worse, the snake took its shoe off for the whole flight. So the key part of this joke is that a snake would only be able to wear one shoe. The problem with it is all of us know they don't wear shoes at all. That was Ian. That's the face he makes when a very dim light bulb goes off over his head. It was announced last week that a second Peppa Pig theme park will open in Texas, but make sure to come early because they sell out pretty fast. Yeah, she's not real. That was, who was that? There we go. He is, as they say, on fire. That's actually what HR has told us we can't do to him. Can we set him on fire? They're like, no. Okay, you guys, Karen's back. I'm just gonna spoil it. Say Karen's gonna try to bounce back after Whalegate. An artist in Australia recently set a Guinness World Record for the widest wig. Finally, said Charlie Brown. So I guess the idea is he's got a big old wide head and that he's long wanted to wear a wig. And then this was good news. And I don't know. I feel like it doesn't even work a tiny bit. Ooh, this is gonna be a good one. Compared. The Justice Department has filed a lawsuit against the drugstore Rite Aid that alleges it violated the Controlled Substances Act and said the company, quote, knowingly filled unlawful prescriptions. So needless to say, many former Rite Aid employees are gonna have to work on their CVs. You know how, people in modern America, when they lose their job, say, well, I best work on my CV. Show me Ian. Today was molecular biologist James Watson's 95th birthday. Wow, 95. He must have some crick in his neck. Like, not even, no part of this. So Watson and Crick, they got the double helix here. They discover it. But why does he having a crick in his neck? Why does that mean he's living longer? I just feel like Allie, let's show Allie. Just like some words appeared to her. Like, she was like, Watson. She was like, oh, of Watson and Crick. And then a part of her brain was like, ooh, Crick. Allie, like a crick in your neck. And she was like, no, shut up, brain. That doesn't make any sense. And her brain was like, no, it doesn't work really good. She's like, mm-hmm. Is this our last one? Yeah, this is the last one. We often go to Scollins for our closers, and that's what we're doing here today. Scollins, we've seen Scollins once before, and it was a Cosby joke, which was everyone's favorite. Today was National Napping Day, said parents who weren't ready to tell the truth about grandma. What? No. There, yeah. You don't get it. You guys, what a time we've had. This has been Surprise Inspection.